Evening campers, welcome back to the Budget Kitchen. Tonight, for this trip, episode 1 of this season, I talked about the lamb and vegetable hiking, freeze-dried hiking meal that you can buy. Went away, done some research and found, yes, I could do it better. I could definitely do it cheaper, and we're going to go into that tonight. Now, I'm not going to use that. I love to use these, and this is the $49 Kmart one, so it's not an expensive, air quotes, jet boil. It's the Camp Master. On there, boiling water, coffee, boiling water, whatever else. It does a good job. But I just don't want the taste of cooking with me water when I boil it. I've had thermoses before where you have your chicken noodle soup, your stews, that sort of stuff in it, and as soon as you try and use it for hot water, you can taste it in there. So not doing that this time. Butane can. I've got my little butane stove that you've seen before, and put it on there to cook with, like that. That goes down. Not the most level of surfaces, but will do. And I've got my little camp pot there. It's going to sit on top. Now, this is my attempt at that freeze-dried meal. No, it's not freeze-dried. As I said in that video, to buy a proper freeze-dried unit, you're looking at thousands of dollars. This is a chicken soup, chicken stew. Depends on how thick you want it. At the moment, it's a stew. Add more water, how thick you want it, and that sort of thing. In your cryovac, it was used as a freezer. It'd been frozen, so it's been the esky for a freezer block coming out here, keeping the drinks cold and milk and everything else for the morning. I've still got ice in there, so that's all right. So originally I was going to put a bit of water in the pot and cook it in the bag, but because I've had it sitting next to the fire, which is still burning down, I didn't realise how much wood was in there. I'm just going to tip it out straight into the pot, so give that a cut there. Click. There it goes. Now while I start cooking this, well, really all you're doing is reheating, so good thing about a fire, gets rid of the rubbish. While this is starting, and I'll get it started. From memory, this one didn't like to light, so I'll grab my lighter out of the pack. Also, too, because these little jet balls, they have a real concentrated flame, so it's you're gonna get a lot of heat real quick. So we've got to be on top of this. Oh, other way. There we go. All right, goes on there. I'll just go down minimum heat just for a start. Now, the way I've done this, normally I flavour it right up, so when you add water you don't need to add much more flavouring, but I add a little bit of water, extra water in there, because I do have some bread to dip into it if it is a little bit too liquidy. So while that's starting to warm up, here's how I went about doing my chicken noodle stew soup. Alright, so let's talk about chicken soup. I do the same thing with all my proteins, whether it's chicken drumsticks, chicken frames, lamb chops, lamb shanks, any sort of protein I want to cook into a soup or stew, always goes in the pot. Here obviously got 6 drumsticks, and normally do 2 litres of stock to go with it to start off with. This one I've done a 1/3 container of stock as well, and I normally do the low salt ones just because by the time you add the packet to the chicken soup mixtures and that, they're pretty salty. So boil along, Plenty of cracked black pepper as well to get that spice in there. Just gives it a whole new flavour. Some medium-sized large carrots, chop them up finely, diced them, put them in the pot. Parsnip as well. Parsnip's expensive, so you don't use a lot of it. Dice that up. One important thing is when you get to the end of the parsnip is to cut the core out of it, because unless you're cooking it for hours and hours and hours, that core stays rock hard and doesn't have a lot of flavour in it anyway. So cut the sides off, throw the core away, and you're going to do well with the parsnip. Dice it up. A couple of good sized onions as well. Dice them. Half celery. Normally I'll keep 1 or 2 sticks of celery for the kids for school, but everything else will go in the pot as well. Chop the celery up, chop the heads up. Unfortunately, you can't buy small amounts of parsley unless you're going to buy dried stuff, so I used probably a third of this packet of parsley. The rest of it got put in the freezer for future soups. Everything chopped, diced, in the bowl, ready to go in. Once the chicken's cooked, which here it's cooked, take the drumsticks out, let them cool down slightly, enough that you can handle them, and then they get diced up, but everything else goes in the pot with that broth. Cut the chicken off the bone, good little paring knife, and it's pretty easy. The chicken pretty much just comes off. The big thing is make sure the, I don't think it's a wishbone, but the little thigh bone doesn't come off with it and go in there, otherwise you're going to have a bad time. And I try and keep all the gristle and that sort of stuff on the drumstick as well. If it comes off, cut it out so it's not in there, because there's nothing worse than chewing hard bits in a soup or stew. So there we are, cooking along. This is probably the 2-hour mark. It's something you want to sort of have on for a little while. As you see there, it's starting to reduce a bit. All the onion's starting to go transparent. All the carrot, all your hard vegetables are going soft, which is good too. And then finally, it's ready to serve. Now, as I said earlier, all sorts of protein you can use in this, and here it's probably in the stew form. Once it goes in the fridge and cools down, it goes even thicker. Normally, I just reheat a couple of good soup spoons worth in a pot. Add some Gravox or some corn flour to thicken it more, and you've got a good hearty stew. Load it up with the flavourings. I've had the stock go in. Normally, in the process too, I'll add 1 or 2 packets of the continental chicken noodle soup satchels as well, just because it's a nice chicken flavour that I like, and add some of the noodles to it. And surprisingly, they don't go soggy like your cup of soup noodles, which is good. But all those ingredients, again, plus a couple of the continental 2-minute noodle cup of soup, chicken noodle soup satchels. This whole thing come in at $19.95, which here I think I got 4 or 5 servings out of it, plus a little bit extra for eating at night time for dinner. So it worked out to be under $3 a serve, and I think that's a lot better than the freeze-dried stuff. Obviously, freeze-dried, you don't have to worry about it freezing or being cooled, but as you're going to see, we get multiple purposes out of it once it's in that freeze-dried bag. So that's the chicken soup. Again, lamb shanks, any sort of stew, I do exactly the same. Just cook it, and then once it's cooked like this, you can sort of go, right, bit of thickener, or go completely the other way and add a lot more water. Obviously that way, then you'd have to probably add a bit of chicken stock and some more spices to it just to flavour it a bit. So we'll get back to the campfire and see how the soup's reheating. Alright, so that's going there now. This is fabulous. This here is a little like a little pantry that I got eBay. I think it was about 20 bucks. So nice little bag. You recognise that, but a different colour. I got a second one just for the bike. In here, this is all plastic, not glass, which I was after as well. So you got a little detergent. I've got a little cooking oil container. Got a container of chili flakes, because most things you can add a little bit of heat to. Some soy sauce. In here I have a little bit of chicken stock. And finally, well, not finally, I've got a big tub of salt, more so if I'm doing any rice, that sort of stuff, or pasta where you want a bit of salt. And a little, I think it's a Coleman salt and pepper shaker. Again, in this little container, growing up camping, when I first started camping, I had tubs, boxes, sort of your go-to pantry items that you always had with you. They always took up a lot of space, and 9 times out of 10 you never really used them. They were just there as a backup. Even after the Cameron Corner trip, had a lot of this stuff in the ute. I had a week's worth of food just sitting in the ute taking up space, so soy sauce isn't going to be needed now. 9 times out of 10 you go, right, I'm going away for a trip, what am I going to need, what am I going to cook, and you can organise things accordingly after that. When you're on the bike, especially when you're hiking, you're not going to want to take stuff that you're not going to be using all the time, so sit that there. I'm going to use some chicken stock just in case I do add a little too much water to it. By the sounds of that, there's still a little bit of icicles in the middle, so we'll keep that warming up. That's not too bad. I might just add a little bit of the chicken stock now, just so it cooks in. Now I've got white pepper, I've got pepper, salt. I don't think I had curry powder in here, but I don't really need that this trip, so that should nearly do for that. But again, great little portable pantry, fits anywhere in the bike, and is real easy to put some things in that you need. So keep that going. A little bit more heat, just to get that up to the boil, and be ready to serve. Keep stirring it. Again, when you have big pots on like this, you've only got that little flame underneath, so it's going to heat the center. You know, keep rotating around. As you've seen, when I've done the ingredient list and actually cooking it, again, $12. Well, now they're about $15, $16, $17, depends what meat or protein you have in it for those freeze-dried stuff. And again, having a spare one on the bike wouldn't be too bad. I did predict it was going to clog me up, and yeah, I didn't require the restroom for the entire following day, so not even my constitutional wake-up toilet trip. So it is good. It is a good thing, unless you want to get a one-off. But this, for $19, I've got ample amount for trips coming up. Or even if I get home late from work, I can throw one in a pot and defrost it and cook. So this, it's starting to get warm now, so we're not far off. The fire's died down a considerable amount, and yeah, we might nearly be ready to eat. So that's pretty much done now. Nice and warm. Move this stuff out of the way. As I said, got my bread here. Nothing better in winter or a cooler night away with a nice warm hearty food, stew, soup. And as I said, don't add water and keep it thick, and you'd probably be able to do it in jaffles, that sort of stuff. Have a chicken stew jaffle. It's served multiple purposes. It's been used as an ice brick in the esky. It's got all these great hearty ingredients in there. No preservatives. No powdered mashed potato. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to turn that off. That then over there so it cools down. Oh, marvellous. 9 times out of 10 you cook your own food, it's not going to look that appetising, but just the flavours, the onion, the celery, the carrot. Yeah, and again, for $19, I think worked out it's going to be about $3 a serve. So $3 versus 20, 15, 16. Oh, warm, nice. That's definitely a winner. So I know the first 2 seasons and even going into season 3, there's a lot of reheating, reconstituting food that they've already cooked or prepped before the trip. As we start going into winter now, good thing about that, more fire, camp ovens. We get to do some camp oven cooking, and there's going to be a bit more cooking, air quotes, over reheating, reconstituting food that they've already done at home. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you're looking forward to it as well. Got some good ideas for some food to have away, but in the meantime, I'm going to sit back and enjoy this.